So in response to my video, there was another question asked, and that was, how can you get it to go back and forth between the scenes, retaining the property for both? And I gave an answer which was not exactly correct. And that's that you set up the cube and the sphere with the same logic. So the reason that that didn't work, I'm actually going to quit this so that you can see the output. That was Nicolas Cage in the background. So here's the file. And if I set it up like that, then this controller would fire when the game itself starts. I'm just going to call it start. In general, I give better names to these things, but this is just an example. I think it's called my module dot retrieve value. And this happens before any other scripts. So if I did this, when the game starts, this is called, own is going to be that cube, value is going to be logic.globalDict stored value. Now, what is logic.globalDict stored value? At this point, it's nothing. It doesn't exist yet. When we did this before, we stored something in it before we tried to get something back out of it. But we haven't done that yet. So there are a couple ways to do this. You could have a script that runs before all of these. That's probably what I would do. I would add another scene, and that scene would be like a startup scene. But there's an easier way to do it, which isn't as good in the long run, which is only get value, only do this if logic.globalDict stored value exists. But I guess I'm going to show the right way to do it. So we're going to add another scene. Call this startup. I'm going to add another random object. And this is going to have an always sensor. Not script, module, my module dot startup. I usually call it something like setup. Yeah, I guess I'll do that here. Setup. So first it calls that, and then it switches over to the scene. Scene 1. I think it's called scene. Set scene. Scene. So both of these are going to fire. It doesn't really matter, but technically this happens, and then after scripts happen, scene changes and motion and stuff happens. In this case it doesn't matter. Find a new method setup. This is just everything that's going to happen at setup. You'll notice that I'm not putting controller in here because I don't really care. Yeah. I'm not going to use controller, I'm not going to use own. All I'm going to do is say that logic.globalDict stored value equals starting, you said it was money, so money, I guess. So when you write something like this, it's just another value, but if it's all caps like this, it's assumed that it's a constant for other people reading your code. And I'm going to say you start with 3 money. And that's all you have to do. You have to set up this thing that's stored before you try to get out of it. You try to get the value from it. So I think this is going to work. It's not going to go back and forth yet. I haven't set it all up, but it should start. Switch to scene 1 with the cube. Where's my cube? What scene is this? See if there's an issue. Python controller found the module but could not access the function. Debugging is half the fun. What's going on here? Oh. It could not access the function. Okay, so it says that this never fired. It didn't access the setup function. Let me look in here. Oh, maybe I just didn't save. Yeah, I didn't save. And I haven't purchased a version of Sublime Text. Yeah. So things don't look good yet. Oh, well. Huh. Okay. It's doing something. It's not crashing. So I'm assuming that it's in scene 2. So it goes from startup to scene 2. Why can't I see this cube? I'm actually really bad with all of the graphical aspects of Blender. I just know how to code. I mean, I'm not terrible, but I wouldn't call myself good. I don't remember how to do the camera move to position. Alright, view, set the camera, and then set camera. No, camera. Align camera. There we go. This might be the issue. I'm gonna add a camera. And then I'm gonna align that camera. Now let's see what happens. Yay! Yay! And we can see that scenes are switching. We can't yet see that things are working properly in terms of the code. I don't know how this file went back to that. But, so it starts off at 7, and that's not what we wanted. We wanted it to be 3. So we're sure that this happens, and then goes to this scene. Oh, the joy of having a trackpad. How do I right click? There we go. And then this should get called, and that's going to set P. Now is it setting P or is it setting P2? It's still setting P2. We hadn't changed that yet. Now, I'm going to go here. I'm going to try to duplicate this from memory. What was it? Keyboard, space, tap, Python module, my module dot store value, and then switch back to scene. Yep. This goes here, this goes here, so these two fire at the same time. Switching the scene back to scene 1. Yeah, I was incorrect. There's a little bit more that needs to happen. I was really just adding this startup scene. So I think that this property is being debugged, right? and this should be changed to P. And I'm guessing that they will both be 3 as we go back and forth. Now, let's see. So that one's 3, and that one's 3. Yay! Just want to check one thing. It's good to check things when you're making these games. Just want to check that this also works. Yep. Great. So that's how you actually do it. Check in terminal that nothing threw errors or yelled at me like up here. I did something wrong. There might have been something wrong in my code that didn't cause a performance issue but was causing some issue in the background that I wouldn't have seen unless I looked in this console. So that's about it. And I am done here.